Pesachim Daf Min Vav. Today's email comes from Yitzchak Sternbach from Lakewood. He says, I'm going to skip around. I've been watching you share every single day early in the morning. Your charts and Eruvin were a real lifesaver. Baruch Hashem was able to be Messiah Eruvin with your share. Since the beginning of Pesachim, I started my own share in my office at the end of the day where I basically give over your share. Unbelievable. Keep on going. Chel chel haraisa. I print your charts every day and I also attempt to infuse your spirit. It goes on. Unfortunately, in our share, one of the big mitzvah to our share, Reb Sruli Gordon lost his 9-year-old son to a brain tumor. And he says, I just came home from the Gordon Shiva house, where I sat with Reb Sruli. He's beyond touched how the MDY Olam got involved with Rechmiel Zechron Levracha before the Ptira. And this past week, even though he's barely met anyone in person from the shir, he's referring to all the people that came to be Menachem Aval and called him. Unbelievable. Yitzchak Sternbach from Lakewood, New Jersey. Thank you. So in our Mishnah, the Mishnah starts off talking about a bowl that has a crack and it's plugged with a piece of dough. The Mishnah says, Kazais have to get rid of, and the whole Gemara. The Mishnah also says, V'chein l'tumah. The same applies to tumah. Now we have to understand, tumah and chametz are very different. Chametz is dependent on the shear of a kazais. Listen to kazais. Tumah and chatzitza have to do with kepeda, a person's intent, what bothers him, what doesn't bother him. So the Gemara gives us 4 explanations to this line, V'chein l'tumah. According to Rabbi Yehuda, in fact, we have to be geiris, v'loy le'inyan tumah. Tumah is different. Okay, Abaye, Rava, they don't like that pshat. So Abaye says the pshat is tziruf tumah, to combine this kazayas of chametz on Pesach to tumah. So let's say you have this kazayas of tumah, of chametz, together with other food. Together they are a kabetza. Do they have the power to transmit tumah to something else? If it's on Pesach, so this kazayas is chashuv, so it has the power, even if he's not makbid, yes makbid, it doesn't matter. But during the year, not on Pesach, it has to do with his kpeda. Does he want it there or not? Rava says, we're talking about he wants to take this bowl that's tamei and put it in the mikvah b'toivel. And if this piece of chametz is chashuv, it's kazayis, it's Pesach, then it's going to make a chatzitza and you cannot put the bowl in the mikvah. But during the year, where this piece is nothing, then it depends on kpeda, not kpeda. If he's not makbid, you can be toivelet. If he's makbid, you can't be toivelet. And Rav Papa says, we're talking about whether the actual bowl can become tamei. What happened was, a sheretz touched the piece of dough. If the dough is on Pesach, it's a kazayis, you have to get rid of it. So the sheretz touched the dough, but it's not as if he touched the bowl. But if it's not on Pesach, then it depends if the person is makbid or not. If he's not makbid, then the dough is part of the bowl, then the sheretz touched the entire bowl. If he's makbid, then the sheretz touched dough, not the bowl. Says the Mishnah, there's a concept called batzek hacharesh. A cheresh, a person who can't hear, you can't tell. He has ears like everybody else, he just doesn't hear. This dough, by looking at it, you can't tell if it became chametz or not. How do you know if it's chametz? Well, if you made another dough just like it at the same exact time, and that dough became chametz, you can assume the first dough became chametz. What if you don't have another dough? So the shear is a mil, we know it as 18 minutes, says the Mishnah Berurah. The time it takes you to go from Migdal to Tveria, a mil. Says Rish Lakish, there are 3 things that the shear is 4 mil. First one is somebody who needs dough, and he was given kalim that are tamei. He must walk 4 mil, 72 minutes to be toivel these kalim. Tefillah, if you're on the way, you're driving somewhere, for instance, and in order to get to Minyan, you have to drive another 72 minutes because we're dealing with minutes, not with distance. You must do so. For Netilas Yadayim, you want to eat bread, you have to travel 4 mil or 72 minutes in that direction, but you don't have to go backwards. Backwards, you only go up to a mil, a little less than a mil. Aibu added one more thing. When you process leather, it removes the tumah from it. So if you step on it 4 mil, then you can remove the tumah. That idea doesn't apply to human skin. Gemara Chulin discusses people used to take their parents' skin, unfortunately, and make things out of it, so they made it tamei forever, even if you process it. Says the Mishnah, there's a major problem if the dough is tamei on Pesach. What can you do with it? To be mafresh challah and give it to the kohen, you can't. The kohen can't do anything with it. It's tamei. To be mafresh challah and put it on the side, it'll become chametz. Problem. To burn it, you can't burn it. You can't burn kachim on yantiv. So what do you do? Machlokes in the Mishnah. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you take the dough, everything. You bake it all, and only afterwards you're mafresh challah. According to Ben Beseira, you take your mafresh challah while it's in the dough state, and you take that piece and you put it into cold water. And according to Rabbi Yeshua, just be mafresh challah. If it becomes chametz, it's not your problem, because the challah doesn't belong to you any longer. The challah belongs to the kohen. Which kohen? There are many kohanim. So let it become chametz. So the Gemara says perhaps we could explain the machlokes between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer, whether or not toivas hana, this monetary benefit that the owner of the challah has, that he could give it to the son of his daughter who married a kohen. He can receive money for that. That's a monetary benefit, and it makes it his own. That's the shaila. Is it his or not his? The Gemara says, well, perhaps that's not the shaila here. Could be everybody agrees that that's not considered monetary value. And the shaila is, do we say the concept of hoyel, since? Since, like anything that you make a neder, you could go to a Rav, and the Rav could be made for the neder. The Rav could say that that piece of dough is no longer challah, and then it will become yours. So since there's a possibility of it becoming yours, so today we consider it yours. So what about a person who bakes from Yontif to the weekday? Usr. He did so on Yontif when he wasn't hungry. He ate already and he's not hungry. If he didn't eat, then he's hungry, then he could bake as much as he wants. He's not hungry. According to Rav Chizda, gets malchus. Why? Because you don't say hoyel, perhaps you'll have guests. And according to Rabbah, we say hoyel, guests will show up. It's very possible, so you don't get malchus. Rav Chizda will have to say that from Yontif to Shabbos, in fact, midaraisa is mutter to bake and cook from Yontif to Shabbos. Chacham were geyser, they said perhaps someone will take that idea and use it from Yontif to weekday. So they instituted an Erev Tavshilin. And that Erev Tavshilin will remind you that the reason why you're permitted to cook from Yontif to Shabbos, it's only in that case and not from Yontif to the weekday. But it's not because of the idea, says Rav Chizda, of Hoyel. I don't need to say Hoyel. What about an animal who's about to die? The owner of the animal, it's Yontif, already ate his meal, he's already satiated, he doesn't want to eat anymore, so he doesn't have the right to shech this animal and save his money. If he doesn't shech it, it'll be in a velo. We could still say Hoyel. Hoyel, if he wanted to, he could stuff himself with the kazayis of this animal, and once he's stuffing himself with the kazayis of this animal, he'll allowed to shech the entire animal. Have a wonderful day.